Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Iron Anchor Cycles. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than our typical videos, and I say that because usually we start off over in the shop, and today we're standing in the showroom, and the reason for that is because what I want to talk about today is a product, and where we keep our products is here. So the product for today's video is going to be this brand new gauge for a lowrider ST from Koso North America. I am going to bring you over into the shop to show you how this works shortly, but figured we'd start here and just show you the product and talk a little bit about it first. So that said, like I mentioned, this is an upgrade for the lowrider ST gauge. There is also lowrider ST gauge, obviously originally the street bob gauge, and then moved into the lowrider ST. But Koso also makes swaps for a whole bunch of different bikes, and even beyond the direct swaps, like this one is a direct bolt in, just pull the old gauge out, 4 screws, 1 plug, click, click, screw, screw, in. You can run these gauges on bikes they weren't intended to be on. So if you, let's say, have a road glide and you want to get rid of the big gauges and switch to a small riser mounted gauge like this, you can do that, and these things are directly plug and play. So really, really easy to use. Obviously, in the case of changing from one style of gauge to another, you'll need a different wiring harness, but for the one we're talking about today, the lowrider ST, this truly is 100% plug and play, so that's really exciting. And even beyond plug and play, I'll mention no BCM flash or ECU flash or anything like that. Literally just unplug the old one, plug in the new one, and you're good to go. Unlike the old days where odometer readings and that kind of thing were held inside the gauge, it's not the case anymore. Obviously, the engine computer is what's going to be maintaining that memory, so your mileage will transfer right over from your old gauge to your new one, and you'll be good to go. So a little bit more about this. It's going to be a little hard to see through the glare of the plastic here, but I can kind of open this box up and show you what we're talking about here. If you've never taken one of these gauges out before, it might be helpful to see what it really looks like. All right, so there's the gauge. And basically what you're looking at here is the raw naked gauge with your plug here in the back. Now, you're gonna reuse the mounting bosses and rubber grommet that come in your original handlebar for the original gauge. So just be careful with that. If you've got any kind of mileage or weather on the bike, that rubber may be a little bit thin, might want to crack a little bit. So just be really careful taking it off. You can swap all that from the old one onto this one, and then you can just pop this in the bike and you'll be good to go. So that's really what I wanted to show you the product here, but we've got one installed in a bike over in the shop. So I want to go over and show you what the features are. It's a really nice upgrade. I'm going to be honest. This gauge really does not show, or that's this one, the stock one really does not show a lot of information and makes you kind of hunt for it, even the limited amount of information that's there. With the Koso gauge, you get a lot more customization abilities. You also get more information displayed all on one screen, and you get more information total that wasn't available on the old gauge, but was in the bike's computer, just not able to be shown on this screen. So let's go over and I'll show you what this looks like once it's all hooked up. So one thing I may have forgot to mention, I'm just gonna add it in right here, is obviously we carry this model of gauge and all of their other ones for bagger gauges, all those other things on our website. Link in the description below, down at the bottom for this product, and then obviously you can look at all the products of Koso's that we carry on our website. I'll put a link to that right below the one for this product. So please check those out if you're interested in learning any more, seeing any more close-up photos, or of course if you want to buy one, that'd be great too. So that's just my PSA for this video. Okay, so right off the bat, this should look pretty much exactly the same to the stock gauge. The only thing you might be able to see on the video is some of the indicators here that are just sort of showing through from where their little LED cutouts are in there. But more or less, they're exactly the same. The only difference is maybe these are a little bit more visible than the OE ones, and they might have a slightly different order to them. But other than that, this is pretty indistinguishable from stock, which I think is pretty cool. So what I want to do here is we'll turn it on, and the first thing that you'll notice is the gauge is red. The stock gauge, and you know what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna throw a photo of the stock gauge up just so you have some comparison to what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna put that in the bottom corner of the screen here so you can kind of see it as compared to this one. So That stock gauge, the backlight color is not customizable. This gauge has a whole bunch of different choices. We picked red just because that was one that looked pretty good to us, but you name a color, it's in there. Blue and green and yellow, orange, amber, purple, whatever it is. It's got all kinds of different colors. It also has a bunch of different backlight settings. So in addition to having those color choices, you can select a different color for daytime or nighttime. You can also select how much you want the nighttime to dim and what percentage of brightness you want to use during the daytime. So that's just an example of the levels of flexibility that this thing has as compared to the stock one. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing on the screen here. So right off the bat, you should notice that there's a lot more information that's displayed here all at once on this gauge. So obviously, in the left-hand corner, you have your gear selector indicator, and we're not seeing anything right now because the bike is not running and not in gear. So we're just seeing a little dash there. Next to that, you got a big 0, and that's got a blank space next to it, which leaves 3 digits for speed. So obviously we're not moving, so we're at 0. And then we've got our mileage showing there as well. And above that, we've got our fuel gauge. And then one really nice feature, and this is one of the separators for this gauge versus the other one, is you've got your tach right there on the home screen. On the stock gauge, you'd have to scroll away from speed and switch to tach to be able to see that. On this gauge, you can see them both on the same screen, which is really cool. So what I'll do here is scroll through a little bit and let's see what we come up with. So we've got our main odometer setting. We're going to switch to, that looks like, sorry, it's a little hard for me to see with my head back here. That looks like trip A, trip B. Looks like that's a trip C. And we got our remaining miles at 138. And we've got our clock. And we've got outside temperature. That's a new feature. We've got voltage, so it says 12.1 there. That's a new feature, and we're back to mileage. Now, so obviously we've added in a couple of features there, but there are a few features that this gauge has that you're not gonna see from what I just showed you, and some of these are pretty cool. So number one is it has a shift light that you can set an RPM to. So from the factory, it'll come set at 5,500 RPMs. You can set that to whatever you want. And when you get to that shift point, the gauge will flash to alert you to that. And other reminders that it has, so you can set these reminders to be on or off. You don't have to use them all. One is on that remaining mileage. If it's low, it will flash to that screen when you first start the bike up to let you see that you have a low remaining mileage, and then it'll go back to whatever your home screen is. There's another feature in here which right now is turned off, which is the planned maintenance countdown. So you can go in and set a mileage, say, you just did an oil change and you want to do another one in 5,000 miles. You can set a countdown for 5,000 miles and it will alert you when it's time to get your oil changed or do whatever it is you were planning on doing at 5,000 miles. It will do that same thing where it'll have a reminder that can be turned on or off that it will show you when you first start the bike up to show you that you're getting low on your service interval for whatever that was. So another pretty cool feature. So really that's kind of the long and short of it. Maybe I'll just zoom back out. I'll give you the sort of overall on everything now. All right, so now that we've taken a look at what the features are and kind of scrolled through some of those menus, I can talk a little bit more about sort of overall impressions and kind of what I think. So bottom line, I like it, I do. I didn't even mention what the price is. It's $230, which, I think this is the point in the comments where everyone should start to say $230 for something that, doesn't do anything, that's crazy, I can build my own or just use a drill or whatever y'all say when you don't like the price of a Harley part. But I like it. If it was my bike, I'd run one. To be honest, I might actually switch to the larger dual gauges off of like a 2020 Lowrider S, but that's just my personal preference. But if I was sticking with a small gauge on the riser, I would run it, I would. I like being able to see the tach and the speed on the home screen altogether. That all by itself is a win to me right there. I also like the aesthetics. I think that the coloring, the backlight on the stock gauge, I don't think it looks that great. That sort of clear white color doesn't work for me. So I like that you can pick a different color, match it to the paint of the bike if you want or whatever. I like the red on that one. I think we're gonna leave it that way. Customer can obviously change it, we'll show them how. That also reminds me, I didn't dig through the settings menus. They're a little cumbersome. This comes with a good set of instructions that shows you the menu layouts sort of click by click, because obviously you only have one button to navigate through the menu with, so it's a whole series of short and long presses, which your first time through it, you might go too far, click the wrong button, or get screwed up. But once you play with the settings for a little while, it gets pretty intuitive. It's more or less the exact same thing you do when you're checking and clearing codes on one of these bikes or entering your PIN for your security. So it's that same sort of series of clicks on the selector buttons. So it's got a whole bunch of menus. Like I said, not going to take you through it for that reason. But I dig it. I would run it. I guess that's my impression. So $230 would not be, let's put it this way, would not be the first $230 I would spend on my bike, not by far. But I think, when I had some extra cash, I'd throw one of these on here. And like I said, the install is super easy. All you have to do is take your riser top clamp off, swap these things around. If you were doing it at the same time as your bars, which on that bike we did, makes it all that much more easy. Don't even have to worry about disconnecting the riser or anything, because it's already going to be done. So yeah, I guess this turned out to be much shorter of a video than I thought it was going to be. Took a little less time to go through this than I planned, but yeah, just wanted to show you guys this new product. I haven't seen a lot of videos or anything like that on it, so just figured I'd get one out there. And we haven't done a video in a week or two, so figured this was a quick and easy way to just get back out there and get in touch. So yeah, I guess that's going to do it, and we'll see you hopefully shortly for the next video.